All right, FSU fam, what's good? It's your boy back again. It's been a minute, but it's game week, big game, and the whole intentions of this week is to today I'm gonna cover the defense. Tomorrow or Wednesday I'll cover the offense. Thursday I'll drop my preview, and Saturday night maybe the review. Maybe that might come Sunday. But today I really want to talk about the defense and more so not my predictions because that's all going to be done in the preview. I want to talk about leading up to this game. Who's calling the shots on defense? This defense has been different the last last two games. Definitely. I mean, anybody with eyes can see that. We've been improved greatly, and I want to talk about, is this still Harlon Barnett's defense or is this Jim Leavett's defense? And where does the defense go from here? We still have the Clemson game, obviously, and we could end up going in there and giving up 50. Like, that's completely possible. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you that Florida State is at this point defensively where we're going to be locking guys down. But I think there's some things to talk about as far as schematically what they're doing differently. There's some things to talk about, personnel-wise that they're doing differently. I want to touch on that because I think it shows the Leavitt hire is really taking effect. And you can really see the differences, in my opinion. The most glaring difference, from the jump, Leavitt was hired 2 games ago. He was hired right before the Louisville game. And then, right, if I'm not mistaken, he was hired right before after the Virginia game. I think it was hired after the Virginia game and into the Louisville game. I don't know if he was hired before the Virginia game. But maybe he was. I'm not sure. Not totally sure. But what I'll say is, in that Louisville game, they decided to really change up the personnel. And I think that was the smartest thing they could have done. Part of it was probably due to injury, and the other part, I think they just saw some things needed to change. And obviously, the big glaring differences on the defensive side of the ball was the linebacker spots. They took Leonard Warner off their edge, where, in my opinion, he wasn't effective in any of those first He wasn't effective in any of those first 3 games. The Boise, Louisiana, and then Virginia was 3rd, correct? Yeah, he wasn't effective in any of those games. I don't recall him really getting much quarterback pressures. He was playing out of position, and somebody made the choice or made the call and said, let's move that guy to the middle. And I think you've seen a huge difference ever since that has taken place. Ultimately, I really believe that Leavitt is really way more of a hands-on approach than FSU was allowed to show. Obviously, Florida State hired him as a defensive analytics coach, if I'm not mistaken, something along those lines. Basically, a guy who's going to break down some film. If you think for 1 second that all he's doing is breaking down film, I really think you're sadly mistaken. Now, what does that say about Harlon? Well, Harlon, you haven't really cut it since you've been here. Last year was all your show, and we weren't very good last year. This year, again, your show. I said it from Jump Street. The biggest question, he's a defensive back coach by trade in Harlon Barnett. And in my opinion, our defensive backs are the worst position group on the defense. Not lack of talent. Again, go back, look at recruiting rankings, and stars don't mean everything. But somebody's evaluating this talent. There's probably not one defensive back that we have signed under a 4-star. Maybe you might find not even a handful, you might find 2 or 3. And even those guys were probably considered high 3 stars. Probably should have been 4 stars on some sites. It probably were 4 stars on some sites. They've been the worst position on the defense, bar none. And that's even worse than the linebackers who were playing extremely bad. Yet that play has turned around. I think Harlan, my biggest problem with what Harlan has done, one is his personnel decisions. That's the first thing that stands out. You have, again, Lars Woodby as a linebacker, and he shouldn't be. We got a guy in Akeem Dent right now who's a safety. I don't like that. I don't know if Akeem is a safety. I mean, put Akeem over there on Stanford Samuel's side, and put Stanford Samuel somewhere else, maybe in the slot or on the bench if you want to be honest. I don't know if Akeem's a safety though. AJ Litton is barely getting any burn. He probably should be getting a lot more play time. I think that's safe to say. I know we got Asante out there. Got one of the freshmen, Nasruddin still out there. I still don't understand if you're going to take any defensive back and put him in that star role, or that linebacker / safety hybrid position. Nasruddin to me is the perfect choice for that, and I still don't understand why they still continue to play him at safety if you're going to have that position on the field. Harlan's, again, his calling card is defensive backs, and to me, your defensive backs have been the worst position group on the field, and that's not for lack of talent. And again, your personnel decisions are the first thing that just stood off the board, like, bam. These guys are in these positions. You're going, yeah, I'm not so sure that's smart. Now, one of the things that has been said about Harlan and his defense is, well, they're forcing him to run a defense that he doesn't run, which is the 3-4. Coach Taggart made the decision to move to the 3-4 this year. To be honest with you, the 3-4, man, you listen to these. I always like to reference the other media sources, because I feel like when you have people watching something that they don't quite know what they're watching, media, commentary, podcasts, the voices, they play a big part in helping the casual fan understand what they're seeing. And so they'll make it seem as if the 3-4 is just this terrible idea and that we don't have any personnel to play the 3-4, which I think is completely false. The 3-4, if you look at, I don't know if we have the depth on the defensive line necessarily for the 3-4, but I think if you look at the 3-4, you definitely have the personnel up front and in the linebacking core. The secondary is a little bit of a wash. The problem is trying to play zone with a bunch of secondary players that I don't excel in that. That's where we have really struggled. Harlan reminds me in a lot of ways of Charles Kelly, especially the first few games. For whatever reason, again, we recruit these athletes in the secondary, yet for whatever reason, on a 3rd and long, we'll rush 4 and drop, the rest. We'll rush 4 or 3, and then we're dropping freaking 7 or 8. It doesn't make any sense to me. And of course, they find the soft point in the zone. Charles Kelly was known for giving up 3rd and longs because for whatever reason in those 3rd and longs, he just wanted to play extremely conservative. And Harlan has really been that kind of defensive coordinator since he's been on staff. the biggest difference between what I've seen from Harlan to Leavitt is probably it seemed like the pass rushing improved. I like to talk about Amari Gaynor because this was a guy that wasn't really getting any burn. You move Leonard Warner to middle. Now Amari Gaynor is a better rusher. Like, I don't know how they didn't see that during practice. But again, that is like both guys are excelling in their positions. Like, Warner's definitely a better middle linebacker, and Gaynor's definitely a better edge rusher. So I don't know why. I don't know what made them not see that from the beginning. Stopping the run was a huge problem early on in the year. Well, again, if you don't know what you're watching, and if you're, you need people to tell you. Well, the reason our run defense was so terrible wasn't the defensive line. It's because the linebackers didn't fill the gaps, right, that the defensive line created. All of a sudden, you're starting Emmett Rice more, you move Warner inside, and you see those things get resolved. And all of a sudden, we're way better against the run. So the improvement has really come from the linebackers, and they have helped immensely, I think, with the improvement of the entire defense. Our secondary still does not play the ball well in the passing game. They don't, and they're not good at all of diagnosing a play, right? And I don't think their technique is very good. Like, even on plays that they sort of figure out, they're so out of position that they can't make the play on the ball. So you don't want to blame everything on one guy, but like when you're the defensive coordinator, I really think it falls on you, and it falls on the head coach, because I say this again, I don't know why we didn't hire a secondary coach this offseason. I don't know why that wasn't like a priority. Especially after you fired last year's guy, who was a no-name secondary coach. Fair enough, everybody begins somewhere, but it obviously proved that he wasn't good, so they got rid of him. But then you fire him without a replacement, unless it was Harlan's. That was gonna, unless that was gonna be his spot, I guess, from the jump. I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure what the thought process was on that one. But as far as the question goes, Harlan or Leavitt, I think definitely Leavitt is doing a lot more. Linebackers are playing more sound football. The defensive line to me has still been extremely good. You got, like I said before, I'll continue to toot this all the way to the end of the season. Marvin Wilson's one of, if not the top player in his position. And you got a guy in Corey Durden who's making his way. And you got a guy in Coop who isn't praised enough for doing, the little things. That defensive line has been very good. And the fact is, they haven't been totally running a 3-4 all year. There was plenty of times where they were running a 4-2-5. You like to call it a 4-2-5, but it's more so a 4-3. Depends on who they have at that other linebacker spot. When they put Janoris' hand in the dirt, that's basically that becomes a 4-2 or 4-3, depending on who you have at the linebacker spot, whether you have a corner there or like Gaynor. What can we do against Clemson? I'll get to that in my preview, but Harlan and Jim Leavitt are going to have to put together a master plan for that Clemson offense, because we got to play who deserves to play, in my opinion. D-Jax had one solid game this year, and that was the last game. And he played in sparing minutes. Like, if you're gonna play him with a limited number of snaps, I don't have a problem. The problem is when you're starting him, and regardless of how bad he plays, drive after drive, you continue to put him out there when we have depth at that position now. Last year, I get it. You look back last year, we didn't have depth at the linebacker position. I mean, our starting linebackers were freaking D-Jack and DeCaleb Brooks. DeCaleb Brooks, yeah, I like the kid. He's the son of the great Derrick Brooks, but he's also 5'10", maybe 200 pounds at linebacker. Like, no. But last year we didn't have a choice, right? This year we have a ton of depth. They recruited very well on the linebacker. They may be young, but like I said, if you're going to lose, you might as well lose with the guys you recruited. I think Harlon is going to – I hope he gets it turned around, but I don't think it really matters at this point because I think Harlon Barnett's time has kind of been set. You know, like I think the writing's on the wall with that. If you don't think so, I don't know. I think he'll play out the remainder of this year as the defensive coordinator in name, and next year I believe he'll be asked to take a lower role or maybe just flat out let go. And I think Jim Leavette will be given that like promotion to the full-time defensive coordinator. Because if I'm not mistaken, Coach Taggart hired most of this staff on just on 2-year deals. So Harlon eventually they won't even really have to let him go. His deal will just be up, and they can just say we don't want to, we're not going to re-sign you or however you go with that. I mean, I don't see a reason to keep him around. He really hasn't shown anything. And again, the defense, it's not a coincidence that the defense has improved since Leavette has got here. And you see the drastic improvement, but let me know what you think. Let me know, put down in the comments or whatever. Let me know what you think. Is this Leavette's job? Is Leavette really the D coordinator and Harlon's only the D coordinator in name, or are they working together? I mean, I believe there's some cohesion, obviously. They're working some together, but who's to give the most praise, or who's responsible for the defensive turnaround? You want to give that to Harlon or Leavette? I'm giving it to Leavette like 90, 95%. I mean, obviously, if you're Harlon Barnett, you got to swallow your pride, work with this guy and work with his ideas. I mean, but I don't think. Listen, I don't see a situation where Harlon's even here next year. And after the way his defense has performed the last 2 years, last year and the beginning of this year, Harlon probably is looking at it as like, if they let me go, what defensive coordinator position am I going to get in the future? Yeah, I'm probably not going to get one. So it might be in my best interest to work with Coach Leavette. We can turn this thing, at least my name will be given credit to turning that thing around. I think, again, this is like 90 to 95% of Jim Leavette doing his thing on the defense. But again, comment, like, subscribe, share. If you noticed, I changed the name. I'm no longer just Polk County No. I'm Polk County No Sports and Entertainment Television. This will always be a No channel, but the reason I changed it, I think I'll cover some different things going on in the future, like just all kind of different sports. Maybe do some NFL stuff, like the Bucks maybe, or just NFL in general. Because I am a Bucks fan, but I'm not a huge NFL guy. I watch it, but I'm not like I'm a diehard Noel to the end of me. I'm not a diehard Bucks fan. I like the Bucks because Jameis is there. But yeah, NFL stuff. NBA's coming up. I'm a Knicks fan. That's right, I'm a Knicks fan. If you don't like it, I don't care. Boxing. Just all kind of different entertainment stuff. I mean, I do movie reviews. I do all kind of stuff, man. So, that may be the plan for this channel going forward. Maybe it helped me reach out and touch some different genre, more people. So yeah, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, share, and again, let me know what you think. This is Harlon defense, Coach Leavette defense. Who's to be given the most credit? And after Saturday, we'll see who really deserves the credit. we're going for it. But I'm out. This is my video for today. Tomorrow we'll be doing some offensive talk. All right, go Noles.